Your hands are pressed flat against the earth. Not metaphorically. Your palms are in the dirt, and you're building something. A shelter, the frame of a home. Your fingertips still feel the grit of clay you harvested this morning. The walls you've shaped are sun-baked. They're solid. They're yours. Then the ground moves. Not sways. Not shifts. It snaps. The wall in front of you ripples like water. For maybe 5 seconds, though it feels like longer. The entire world liquefies beneath you. Dust clouds everything. When it stops, your shelter is rubble. Your neighbors are screaming. Some don't get up. The question is, how were you still there, alive, thinking clearly enough to rebuild? Because here's the thing. Your ancestors faced earthquakes with virtually no warning systems, no building codes, no emergency alerts, no way to know if the ground would betray them again. And yet, somehow, humans not only survived the first earthquakes, they kept building. They kept settling in earthquake zones. Some of the oldest continuous cities on Earth are located in places that shake violently and regularly. So how did they pull it off? What did they know that let them return to the rubble and build again? Let's start with the scale of the problem. Earthquakes don't wait for civilization. They don't care if you've invented writing yet. Modern seismology shows us that Turkey, the Levant, and the Mediterranean have always been some of the planet's most seismically active regions. And yet, that's exactly where humans chose to build the first permanent settlements. It's not a coincidence. It's the archaeological record screaming at us. These people were dealing with earthquakes constantly, and they figured out how. The evidence starts at Çatalhöyük in central Turkey, 9,500 years old. One of the earliest urban settlements in human history. Archaeologists digging there since the 1960s, led by Ian Hodder from Stanford, found something striking buried in the stratigraphy of that site. Layers of ash and charcoal. Building collapses separated by periods of occupation, not just random destruction. Repetitive destruction, then rebuilding. Seismic damage, then recovery. Then seismic damage again. Hodder's team identified at least 4 major earthquakes, documented in the clay and stone of those 9,000-year-old walls. But here's the remarkable part. The people didn't leave. They came back. They sorted through the rubble. They salvaged stones. They rebuilt. And then, knowing from experience that the earth would betray them again, they kept living there anyway. But the most fascinating part is something that shouldn't exist. They changed how they built. Now, structural archaeology is a relatively young field. Most of us think of archaeology as pots and bones and lost cities. But there are researchers, like Amos Noor at Stanford, who've spent careers comparing building techniques across earthquake-prone regions, looking for a pattern. And the pattern is there. At Jericho, one of the oldest continuously occupied sites in the world, dating back 11,000 years, excavations by archaeologist Kathleen Kenyon revealed something peculiar in the ancient tower and walls. The stones weren't just stacked. They were fitted in ways that allowed for subtle angles, specific joint patterns. It looks almost accidental until you realize this is deliberate. This is a building technique that flexes with seismic waves instead of fighting them. In early Anatolian settlements, places like Çatalhöyük, dating to 8,200 years ago, the structures got progressively smaller and more compact over time. Not because people were getting poorer, because they were getting smarter. A smaller footprint means fewer walls. Fewer walls means fewer surfaces to collapse. The buildings they abandoned were replaced by tighter, more resilient designs. That's adaptation. That's generational knowledge being encoded directly into construction. So let's reconstruct a day in an ancient earthquake settlement. Let's say you're living at Çatalhöyük around 7500 BCE. You wake before dawn. Your home is small, roughly 25 square meters. That's not much bigger than the bedroom you probably sleep in right now. Your walls are mud brick. Your roof is wooden beams with reeds and clay. You've seen, maybe even experienced, an earthquake before. Your parents told you stories. Their parents told them. You know the signs. Maybe not perfectly. Maybe you've noticed that sometimes, days before a big quake, the animals act strange. Birds don't sing. Dogs hide. You've probably told others, and they've probably dismissed you. But you know something is coming. When it hits, and eventually it will, you know 2 things. Move fast and move out of the building, into open space. Because out there, the ground can do whatever it wants, but buildings can't fall on you. After the quake passes, you dig. You find your neighbors. Some of them are still alive, some aren't. You salvage what you can. The stones from your collapsed wall become part of the new wall. The wooden beams get reused. Within days, you're rebuilding. Within weeks, it's habitable again. This wasn't resignation. This wasn't superstition. This was learned survival. You stayed in earthquake zones because earthquake zones, especially in the Levant, in Turkey, in ancient Mesopotamia, were good places to live otherwise. Fertile, water-rich. And if the price of fertility was occasionally having your roof collapse, well, you learned to build a roof that survived the collapse, or to get out in time. The evidence shows this happening again and again. At Tel Megiddo in Israel, archaeologists found 17 distinct occupation layers spanning 5,000 years. Many of them show signs of seismic damage. The buildings changed. The settlement patterns shifted. But people never left for good. Then, about 10,000 years ago, something changed. Not in the earthquakes. They kept coming. But in how humans recorded them. Around 1200 BCE, at Ugarit on the Syrian coast, archaeologists found cuneiform tablets in the ruins that described widespread destruction. Simultaneous destruction across multiple cities in the region. The culprit? Seismic activity so severe it triggered the Bronze Age collapse. Civilizations fell. People fled. But here's what matters. They documented it. They wrote it down. Knowledge that it happened. Knowledge that it could happen again. By the time you reach classical antiquity, you find explicit seismic engineering. The Romans understood that certain building techniques reduced earthquake damage. They used a material called opus caementicium, Roman concrete, that had different stress properties than stone alone. They studied what worked and what didn't. But that's not where it started. It started in the mud, brick, and stone of settlements whose names we've forgotten, whose people have been dead for 9,000 years. They didn't have theories of plate tectonics. They didn't have seismographs. They had dirt-caked hands, a ruined shelter, and the knowledge, passed down through whispers and demonstration, that if they rebuilt it differently, it might survive the next time. Here's the thing about your life right now. You probably feel the ground is stable, solid, a given. You make long-term plans. You build things expecting they'll last decades. You live as though the earth is a constant. Your ancestors lived differently. They felt the ground as a living thing. Dangerous, beautiful, temporary. They had no insurance, no disaster relief, no replacement homes waiting. If the earth took your shelter, you rebuilt it yourself, and you did it knowing, with an almost intimate knowledge that the ground might betray you again tomorrow. And they still chose to stay. They still built. They still raised children in those precarious places. They still created art and meaning and community on ground that occasionally turned to chaos beneath their feet. That's not heroism. It's not even hope exactly. It's something quieter. It's the choice to build anyway. To belong to a place despite its dangers. To pass down what you've learned so that when the ground moves under the next generation, they'll know what to do. You're still here because they figured it out. Because they kept rebuilding.